All right, so um, this week we have. I want to just briefly, quickly go over. Um, well, I think that let's see. Let's pick one. Okay, so what we have here is Matthew 9, 1 through 8, Mark 2, 1 through 12, and Luke 5, 17 through 26. I think what I want to do is read the Mark version, and then we can potentially reference slight variations that we find over in Luke or Matthew. But I think what I want to focus on is the Mark version. So let's go over to Mark. Let's go over to Mark. Um,
You got two.
I'm sorry. Let's read Mark and Luke. So I'm so undecisive. Let's look at Mark. We'll read through Mark. We'll read through Luke, and then we'll talk about all of it. Mark chapter 2, 1 through 12.
And some days later, he entered into Capernaum, and it was heard that he was in the house. So many gathered together that there was no more room, not even at the door. And he spoke the word to them, and they came to him, bringing a paralytic, carried by four. And not being able to come near him because of the crowd, they covered the roof where he was, and when they had broken through, they let down the bed on which the paralytic was lying. And Yeshua saw their belief, and he said to paralytic, son, your sins are forgiven you. Now some of the scribes were sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, why does this one talk like this? He is blaspheming. Who is able to forgive sins but Elohim alone? And immediately Yeshua, knowing in his spirit that there was reasoning that way within themselves, said to them, why do you reason about all in your hearts? Which is easier to say to the paralytic, your sins are forgiven, or to say, rise and take up your bed and walk. But in order for you to know that the Son of Adam possesses authority on earth to forgive sins, he said to the paralytic, I say to you, rise up, take up your bed, and go to your house. And he rose straightway and took up the bed and went out before all, so that all were amazed and praised Elohim, saying, we have never seen the like of it.
Okay, very good. Let's see here.
Luke.
Yes, let's look at also Luke 5, 17 through 26, which is the same account just from a different source. Luke 5, verse 17 through 26.
And on a certain day it came to be, and he was teaching, that there were Pharisees and teachers of the Torah sitting by, who had come out of every village of Galilee, Yehuda and Yerushalayim, and the power of Yahweh was there to heal them. And see, men brought on the bed a man who was paralyzed, and they were seeking to bring him in and lay him before him. But having found no way to bring him in because of the crowd, they went up on the housetop and let him down with his bed through the tiles into the midst of Yeshua. And having seen their belief, he said to them, man, your sins are forgiven you. And the scribes and the Pharisees began to reason, saying, who is this who speaks blasphemies? Who is able to forgive sins except Elohim alone? And Yeshua, knowing their thoughts, answering, and said to them, why are you reasoning in your hearts? Which is easier to say, your sins are forgiven you, or say, rise up and walk? But in order for you to know that the Son of Adam possesses the authority on earth to forgive sins, he said to the man who was paralyzed, I say to you, rise up, take up your bed, and go to your house. And at once, having risen up before them, he took up what he had been lying on, and went away to his house, praising Elohim. And astonishment seized them all, and they praised Elohim and were filled with fear, saying, we have seen an extraordinary feat this today.
Okay, very good. Just interestingly enough, in my notes, the first thing I thought about was the thing that is not mentioned in either one of these things, but it's in Matthew. Let's just read Matthew 9, verse 1, only the first verse of Matthew chapter 9.
Okay. Matthew 9 and 1. And entering into a boat, he passed over and came to his own city.
Okay, very good. So it's interesting, there's subtle differences, I'm not going to say differences, additions to the total story. All of this is different perspectives of one particular story. And one point that Matthew decides to bring up is that when they come over, he came to his own city. But then when you read through, it don't say what the city was. It only says that he came to his own city. So Yeshua is Yeshua of Nazareth. Right? So if we're thinking about his own city, we would think that the place where they came to was Nazareth. But when we look at Mark is the one who gives you the actual place where they are, which is Capernaum. Come to find out, when we look at Yeshua and the life that he leads during his ministry, Capernaum kind of is like that's where he be at. Capernaum. So much so that they're literally calling it his own city, even though he's not from there. That's not the place where he was born. That's not the place where he grew up. But it kind of turns into his home base. He got the majority of his disciples come from there. Right? Are you able to put up the map? The map should be readily available, maybe in the minimized or I'm saying you could definitely put it up on the. Did I put it up on the thing?
Yeah, it's there.
Put the map up on the. Can you put it on the StreamYard thing?
It's on screen.
It should be down.
It's on screen right now.
So you should be able to find it if you look in the Finder. It should be there. Put it on StreamYard. Put it on this screen here, just so we can see. Because another thing that we see that's added when we look at Luke's version, where he says that people came to where he was from every village in Galilee, Yehuda, and Jerusalem. And so if we look, Galilee includes Capernaum. It includes Nazareth, where Yeshua was born. And we talked about this before, how Samaria is, part of Israel proper, but because it is inhabited by a particular people, they don't give it any credence. And so when it says that people from Judea, which is all those places down there where that you can see in the whatever that is, burnt orange color, Jerusalem, which is mentioned, which is part of Judea, and Galilee, right? And so you're able to see where Capernaum is, it's up north, right? And you're able to see where Nazareth is, which is south of Capernaum, where he was from. But what turns out to kind of be his home base, the place where he does a lot of miracles, and the place, actually, when you look at, I think if you read further in one of these places, we find out that this place where they are is either Peter's house or somebody who's connected with him's house where they are. Right? This is their home base where he is. So just kind of thinking about that in terms of Matthew chapter 9, where it says where he came to his own city, just so we don't kind of think that this is some kind of, I see a contradiction right over here. He's from Nazareth. Why is it saying that it's his own city when the other chapters, the other accounts say that's Capernaum? Because the fact of Capernaum really becomes his hometown, right? We're talking about a span of time where he's at. You know, he grew up over here. That's where he was born. That's where he was known. But he goes back to his place, and people don't even really believe over there, right? So he don't deal with those people. He goes over and stays over at this other place, Capernaum, where he finds, again, the majority of his disciples, I'm saying of the 12, and it's kind of his home base. He goes out and comes back again to this place, Capernaum. Okay, so when we look at the Luke version, we see that this was a certain day. It wasn't Shabbat. Just a regular day. They chilling back at the crib. And it says Pharisees and teachers of the Torah come by, as well as people from all over Israel. They're coming from all over the place because the power of the Most High is there. And so it's interesting when we look at Yeshua, who, just coming, out of the 7th month feasts, where we think about the idea of our task after we get past Passover and Shavuot becomes being a trumpet. Yeshua, it didn't matter where he was at, whether he's out ministering, whether he's out working, so to speak, or if he's back at the crib, which he was here. People coming to where he's at, right? And so many people come. And again, it's not even Shabbat. It's not even like he's having this Shabbat services over here. He's just kicking back. He's coming back. Like he's coming back. He got on a boat. He's coming back to his own place. And it's like people are following him, right? And so he's being the thing that he calls for us to be. Wherever he is, wherever Messiah is, wherever Yeshua is, the gospel is there where he's at. He don't necessarily got to be in the synagogue to be teaching. But he's just at the house doing it. Wherever he is, the kingdom is. Because it says that the power of Yahweh was there and he was healing. When he's off, he's at work. Yeshua is. Right? He's always on duty. Right? And so they're gathered there at this place. People come from all over. And it's interesting that it mentions in, let's see, which one is that? In Luke, where it mentions that the Pharisees and the teachers of the Torah are sitting by. It's interesting that it says that it says that they're sitting by because they're at somebody's house. So it's not like they're just sitting by in the street. They're one of the peoples that's packed in there in the house trying to hear what it is that Yeshua has to say. You know, whatever their motivations may be. Maybe they're in there just to see, we're going to catch him slipping one time. He's going to say something that he shouldn't be saying, and then we're going to have him. Like, they could be thinking that, or they really could be sincere. Yeah, either trying to get some knowledge, trying to see what it is that he's out here talking about. But they're counted among the number of people that have come to see what it is that Yeshua is teaching. The official guys, right? The Pharisees and the teachers of the Torah. And so it's interesting when we look at this particular situation that deals with these 5 guys, right? The paralyzed guy and his 4 buddies. I'm saying that they're his buddies because they really wanted for him to be healed. They really wanted for him to be healed. Either they were just some random, really nice guys, or these was his guys who was like, Yeshua's coming. He's gonna be right over there. I know where he be at. I know where Yeshua be at. We could take you right over there and get you taken care of. And he's like,
they climbed on the roof with him.
I know.
Took
I
him
know.
up with his
I
bed.
know,
I'm
I
trying to
know.
envision this. Like,
All that.
what's all this?
All that.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying that these are his guys. These ain't just some random people that seen some guy over here. I'm saying if they are, they're really great guys, these 4 guys. Because they did a lot in order to get, but I'm saying in my mind, I feel like this is like a crew of guys. These 4 guys plus the 1 guy. Because they really did go through a lot to get their guy over there.
Ebony, did we do a kids lesson like that where we talked about friendship? And it was like the 4 friends helping. Remember that? It was the friends helping the one friend to get to the Messiah.
If this right here is not a picture, the perfect picture of friendship, I don't know what is. Because they're fine. They're obviously able-bodied. Because they carried a guy on a bed up somewhere. They removed the roof and then they lowered him down.
That was a mission.
That was the mission.
They went on a mission to get him healed.
And then they didn't stop. They did not stop until it was done. Now, I don't know how they made houses back in those days. I can only just say that it's probably safe to assume that they didn't make them the way that we make them today. Because it's not that easy to get on the top of I'm saying now, of a house
Oh yeah.
and make a hole and lower somebody down into the hole.
It's definitely one story. I'm sure it was one story.
Yes. But I'm saying that even though there was a difference in the way that houses was made back in those days, I'm just gonna kind of jump out on a limb and say it probably wasn't normal for people to just go and just kind of make a hole in somebody's roof. I'm saying under normal circumstances, like this is like an offense that is being committed. Like it's not an entry point, like it's a roof. Like it. What do it say? What do it say in regards to it in one of these things? It says that Luke says they found no way. They went to the top and let them down. Luke is not really. They went to the top. They found a way. Like Luke could lead you to believe that there may have been a hatch. Right? There wasn't a way through the door. There was people all over the place. they somehow went to the top of the house and they let him down. Luke, he doesn't really give us all of the things. Let's see if we look over.
It says through the tiles.
Which one is that? Which version is
Luke
that?
5:19. If you just keep reading, they went to the top of the house and let him down with his bed through the tiles.
That's Luke.
Luke 5:19.
Yeah.
Oh, 19. They found a way. Oh, through the tiles in the midst. And so I feel like they took apart this person's house to get him there. But there wasn't nothing that was stopping them from getting their buddy, I'm calling him their buddy, to Yeshua. And so it's interesting when we think about now Yeshua's immediate response to all of this. Because again, he's at home basically. These is his people where he's at. Where they did whatever they did, removed whatever tiles they had to remove to get the guy down there, and whatever pulleys or whatever they had to do to set up to get him down there. When he sees what they did, Yeshua is his immediate response to what's going on is to deal with this person and the reason why that they was brought there. And he sees what's going on with not only the 4 guys, but the one. Because I'm saying that he's able to understand where the one is based on who he is. And so when we look at, say for instance, Mark 2 and verse 5. Read Mark 2 verse 5 again for us.
And when Yeshua saw their belief, he said to the paralytic, "Son, your sons are forgiven."
It says when he saw their faith. He saw the faith of the 4 plus the 1 whenever they broke through the roof. I'm just gonna say broke through the roof at this point. When he saw them break through the roof and lower him down, when they saw the fact that there was a door, but there was so many people they couldn't get in the door, and they couldn't get past all the people to lay the guy, their buddy, at his feet. So they found a new way that really wasn't. They made a way, actually. When he saw that, it says when Yeshua saw their faith, he said, "Your sins are forgiven you." Faith is visible.
They said, but you gotta imagine that. Like we sitting here.
It's crazy.
Somebody want to be part of this class so much. Somebody put a hole in
Yes,
and
yes,
come in.
yes, that.
You gotta be like whoever is coming in right there.
He
Yeah,
is
you
about
gotta
that
do,
life.
You gotta
that
do
guy.
something for it. This guy want to be in here. That's like.
It's totally understandable. It's totally understandable because he's coming in there in such an unconventional. I'm saying that it's not regular
Right.
for people to come down through people's roofs. Like we read this thing, like, oh, remember that one story where it talks about Yeshua and the guy? It's odd for people to bust through somebody's roof and lower somebody down.
That's a believer.
He is such a believer.
That's a believer.
And it's so obvious based on what he's doing. Because he's doing this strange thing. Like it's not normal. That's what I'm saying. It don't matter what the construction was at that time. He saw what they did, and it was so odd and so out of left field, and showed they had so much intention on doing whatever it is that they wanted to do, which was be at the feet of the master. And they did it. When Yeshua said it, he said, your sins are forgiven. He saw their faith through what they did. And I'm saying that faith is visible. You could see it. It's tangible. It may begin in your mind. It may begin in your heart. But it must be something that's manifest in order to actually be faith. He said, I saw their faith. He saw it. I mean, Yeshua is one that could see in your mind, but that's not what he was talking about. Well, I guess, I don't know. Maybe he did see in their mind and in their heart, because he does have that ability. But just like when we think about the idea of sin being this thing that's internal, a potential that's happening internally, that in order to actually be that has to be something that's manifest. Faith is the same thing. You have to have an idea in your mind first in order to actually have that thing be realized. And Yeshua saw that. He saw it by their actions. Right? He saw it by their actions. He saw it by the fact they did this highly unusual thing by busting in the roof of someone's house and lowering this guy down. Where are they even from, I wonder? I wonder if they're from that area or they brought them from some far off.
No, they's local. He got a bed there. I ain't walking through the wilderness. But
I don't know.
doubt
Maybe
it.
they're local, but maybe they got brought from all the way down in Jerusalem. I don't know. They could be local. I don't know what they are.
I'm saying that.
But I'm saying that at the end of the day, it really don't matter because of the almost ridiculousness of the way in which they came in to the situation. Where they didn't care about any consequences or repercussions that may have happened. All they needed to do was get to where the master was.
Oh, yeah. Just make it there.
They just had to get to his feet, right? And so I'm saying that, look at Hebrews 11 and 6.
I was thinking about all the times we had to make it to the feast. This year was kind of easy. I don't think we had too many hindrances, but almost every year we've had hindrances to making it to the feast. And it was like, we just gotta get there somehow.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I had a little bit of hindrances as making my tent. I injured myself pretty bad. And I didn't even lift my hammer one time to nail one tent peg into the ground before I slammed my finger into my right hand finger in my car door. And so I went and I'm racing against time to build my tent with a messed up finger. And so I faced some adversity going into the situation. Your, life was perfect. But she didn't feel the pain. And I planned it that way, right? That you don't feel the pain. But read for us Hebrews 11 and 6.
Hebrews 11 and 6. But without belief it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to Elohim has to believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who earnestly seek him.
Those guys diligently sought Messiah.
Yep.
And they knew that he was a rewarder of those that diligently seek him, and they were rewarded.
That's right.
This verse right here was realized in this situation over here. He was able to see their faith. He was able to understand that just by the simple fact of the way that the absurd way that they came into the situation, he said, them guys over there got faith. Every single one of them believe your sins are forgiven. Whatever it is that you came here for, you got it. Basically is what Yeshua said to these guys.
And the guy couldn't have done it by himself.
There's no way he could. He was
Even if
breathing.
wanted to be healed and he wanted it, he couldn't do about it.
No. And so you can see that he wanted it, and them guys wanted it for him, and then they brought him there, and he got it. Look at Deuteronomy 32 and 20. Faith is pretty important aspect of our situation. Deuteronomy 32 verse 20.
And he said, let me hide my face from them. Let me see what their end is, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom there is no trusting.
He said, the ones that don't have no faith, I'm going to hide my face from them ones.
Yeah.
He don't want to see, he don't even want to look at those children who don't have faith. They're a froward generation. Those without faith. Those that don't have faith. Right? Those that don't have, that word there I think is emunah, trust, firmness. Right? The faith, those that are firm, the opposite of firmness is, I don't know, jello-y. Yeah, wishy-washy, soft, right? That's the opposite, right? He turns his face from those. He's low emunah, no faith, no trust. But the just, it says in Habakkuk, shall live by faith. Right? And so Yeshua, when he sees these guys coming through, when he sees them coming through, he says, your sins are forgiven. But did they come there for their sins to be forgiven, or did they come there for their buddy to get healed? The thing that the Pharisees and the teachers, the thing that they paid attention to, the thing that they was most concerned about was the fact that Yeshua would be so audacious, have the audacity to even say, your sins are forgiven. Like, this guy got the ability to forgive somebody's sins. Why did they just look over like what was going on? Like, they obviously wanted healing for this guy. What's Yeshua doing, by the way, when he even says thy sins are forgiven? That's the first thing he says. Let's go back. Let's look over here. Let's look at Mark. Mark 2, verse 5. Oh, that's what it says. Verse 5 we read again, right? Your sins are forgiven. Then verse 6. Read 6, 7, and 8.
Now some of the scribes were sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, why does this one talk like this? He is blaspheming. Who is able to forgive sins but Elohim alone? And immediately Yeshua, knowing in his spirit that they were reasoning that way within themselves, said to them, why do you reason about all this in your hearts?
Okay, so This is interesting the way in which Yeshua is the master teacher. There is none like you. I don't know the rest of the words that touch like you do. There's nobody like Yeshua. Why when this happens, where these people have this this humongous show of faith, doesn't he first say, get up off of that thing and carry your thing and you walk out of here. You're healed. Why does he first say your sins are forgiven in the earshot of these guys that are going to question them and be like, in their hearts, by the way, they're not saying it. Was Yeshua intimidating, I wonder? You think Yeshua was intimidating to these people? Why? You think they were scared? Like, why couldn't they say it? Like, why do they gotta like think it in their hearts? Like, I feel like if you have a little bit of kind of trepidation about a situation, you might think something, but you won't dare say something. How come they didn't say? I feel like when you watch these movies, when they got Yeshua, he's kind of like this little soft little guy. I don't believe that. There was some fear in these guys. They had a thought. They were somebody. They could have stood up and said something, being that they were people of position. But they didn't say nothing. They just thought it in their little soft little minds. I don't know why I gotta get mad at them and kind of like talk about them. I don't know if they were soft. They seemed like they was. They seemed like they was a little. Soft. But
isn't there some places where it seems like they're trying to get somebody to go and say something to them and ask a question?
yeah,
They was trying.
I feel like Yeshua. I feel like I need to come across somebody and talk to them about all the things that I think that should be in a movie about Yeshua, so that the perfect movie could be made, where Yeshua's not this old soft guy, but he's kind of intimidating a little bit, because nobody wants to like speak up.
But would they not want to speak up because of the way that the structure was at that time? You know, they were under the Roman time. They were in they were living their lives, but they were their ruling of their own people, and they were used to being under the Pharisees. That's like us. We have a president, we have congressmen, we have senators. All right. Once people, normal working class people, start bucking that system, they're singled out. All right, so you don't get a lot of people bulking the system. That was the status quo. So in my mind, Yeshua was the one, like me. He's that working class person, you know, speaking to everybody. They don't know you, but you know the face, and you speaking to them and things of that nature. So you're telling them things, but he needed to have that. Those are the people he's going to. It's like in my mind, it's like. There's power in numbers. There are only a few Pharisees and all of that, but the masses of the people, those are who he was trying to attract.
Yeah.
Those are the minds he needed to gather. Those are the hearts he needed to gather. So that would have made it, they're already under pressure with the Pharisees. So if he came in that mannerism, like I'm this dude, I'm here, you know, it would have been just like that. So why not humble yourself? I'm one of you guys. I may look a little different, I may sound a little different, but I'm one of you guys. I'm from a carpenter family, and you know, I work to make my coins just like everybody else.
Yeah.
They could identify with them. I don't think the masses really identified with the Pharisees except for the rulers and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I think that he came to them because he knew coming to them, they are what he needed, and he is what they need.
Yeah.
Because it was the masses who changed. The Pharisees fought to the end, even all the way up to the crucifixion.
Yeah.
They fought to the end. So he needed the masses because that's who he came for.
Yeah.
He came for the masses, and he couldn't get us. You know, you'd be like, yeah, right, okay, here we go again. But he humbled himself, and in doing that, we call it God.
Well, they call it something.
They called it soft, but, you know, so he knew by them coming down to the roof, he knew that their faith had to be here.
Yeah.
Who's gonna go through all of that with these Pharisees and all of these people and bring somebody down, going through the top of the roof to get them down there, but they got it.
Yeah.
And these were all humble people. These weren't, the Pharisees were like, to me, they were trying to hide themselves in the crowd.
Yeah.
They didn't really want the crowd to know that they were there, because now you got the people questioning and saying, well, if you're the Pharisee, well, why didn't you know this? Why don't you know, that's just me speaking.
Yeah.
But I can see him coming home.
Yeah, I think that when we look at Yeshua, he was a regular guy. He definitely was regular. He definitely was there for the regular people. But when we look at the Pharisees and the teachers of the Torah, those guys were like the people of renown. And so it's interesting when we look at Yeshua's actions now, when he says, what he says to them in their mind is unfathomable, really. Because in verse 7 where it says, why does this one talk, this is what they're saying in their hearts, why does this one talk like this? He's blaspheming. He's not able to forgive people's sins. Only the Most High could do that. But he's doing it. And so I'm saying that when Yeshua sees the faith of these guys, this is what he says, because he knows what reaction he's going to have from the people that are there, these Pharisees and these teachers, these dignitaries, these people who are somebody in their particular communities. Instead of just saying you're healed, I see your faith, you're healed, he says this thing that's slightly controversial to them for a teaching moment, because he's the master teacher. Because he could have just said, get up and walk. But he said to them, as a response to something that they didn't even say, by the way, it was in their hearts that they said it. Read verse 9 again.
What in Mark?
Yes. Mark 2 and 9.
Which is easier to say to the paralytic, your sins are forgiven, or skip on
9 and 10, actually. Oh, actually, 9, 10, and 11.
or to say, rise up and take your bed and walk. But in order for you to know that the Son of Adam possesses authority on earth to forgive sins. When he said to the paralytic, I say to you, rise up and take your bed and go to your house.
He said, in order that you're able to know that the Son of Man has authority on this earth to forgive sins, your sins are forgiven. He didn't say that either. He didn't say that either. Because in order to show you that I have authority and I'm able to forgive sins, he said, get up off of that bed and walk. It's like he's doing like this reverse thing. The first thing he does, instead of talking to the man who's paralyzed and just saying, just get up because I see you guys have faith, he says this thing that really affects these other people. It could affect the guy because of his faith that brought him there, and maybe his faith in Messiah is bringing him there with a particular spirit about him where he's receiving what's going down. Right? But he's saying something to them, the people that's there. And then he says, so that you're able to know that I'm able to actually say it and it be real, the thing that I'm saying, which is be someone who's able to forgive sins. I'm going to show you that I got power. I'm able to heal this person right now. And so it's interesting that the way in which Messiah is proving to these people that he does in fact have the authority to forgive sins is by healing this paralyzed guy. And so, if we could remember the first time we see with Nicodemus, who comes to Messiah by night, the reason why he said that he came is because the only reason why I know that you really are from Elohim is because you're doing all these miracles. So these miracles is proving that you're from Elohim. And so when the question comes about in the mind of these people, and they're saying, who is this guy that he's able to sit up here and do something that only Elohim can do? Yeshua goes ahead and does something that only Elohim can do in their face. And so he shows for them the power. It says that the whole reason, if we remember, if we go back to what was that? Matthew, Mark. Oh, in Luke 5 and 17, where it says that the power of Yahweh was there to heal them. The Master Yeshua understands that when these people are seeing him do these things, that the very simple fact that he's doing these things lets these people understand who he is as far as him working according to the power of the Most High. And so he's proving his power and might that he's from the Most High by actually healing these people over here, this man. And so he's answering the question that these people have in their hearts and minds by saying, oh, you don't believe that I'm able to forgive sins? Well, here, watch this paralyzed guy get up and walk and carry his bed where he had to get carried in. He had to get carried into this place. You watch him get up and walk out of here.
And carry something out.
Yeah, he didn't even just say get up and go. He had to get up and carry his bed out of there. That thing had to be sturdy now.
He didn't get up limping like it barely worked. Nah, he was healed, got up, took all his stuff he came with.
He was showing that he is in fact of Elohim. Yeshua was. He was showing that he was in fact able to say your sins are forgiven by using the power of the Most High. He's literally addressing them directly. He's not even roundabout doing it. They had a question in their hearts. How's he able to sit up here and do this? Oh, you want to know how I'm able to do it? This is how.
Because otherwise, to me, they can think that he was the one that had the power, like, in and of himself. You know, like, you know, someone, it don't come from the Most High, you know?
Yeah. It was a direct response to what they were thinking in their minds. It wasn't like some off sideways thing. Like it was directly connected to the thing that was going on inside of them. And he answered it directly. Which in a way that, unless we're looking at it the way we actually should be looking at it, we could be like, why is he doing that? Why wouldn't he like say something that really does like show that he is able to? But he is doing it because only the Most High, when you sin, you're transgressing against the Most High. And so nobody else can say, all right, the Most High is cool with you now. He got to say it. Because he's the one that you offended in the first place. If you did something to me, can't nobody come around and say, well, it's cool. He ain't really that mad about it. Unless I say that about it. But the same thing is true when we deal with sin. Nobody could come and say, all right, well, the Most High, my child, you're forgiven. Unless it's the Most High saying it. And that's exactly what we have going on over here, because we understand that Yeshua is, in fact, the visible representation of the invisible Elohim. We don't know that at this point. We're learning it. Right? And he's showing us a little bit at a time. He literally is showing his deity ship a little bit at a time as he's going through these things. Whether it be healing the sick or, these other various miracles that he's doing.
His authority.
His authority that's been given to him only through the Most High. Okay. So, does anybody have any thoughts, questions about any of these things that we're looking at over here with these verses? Okay, so I just want to say, kind of in closing, when we think about the actions of these guys, these men that went through all that they went through for their guy, for their buddy over here, and all of this being kind of this representation of the faith that they had inside of them. I'm saying that we too need to be able to live our lives in this way, where we truly are walking out our lives in faith and not allowing because these guys could have came from wherever it was that they came from, whether it be down the street or in 2 villages over. They could have came all that way and like, man, look at the line over here. I can't get in there. That's messed up. And turned around and went away. How many times do we sit up here and we have something that we desire of the Most High, and then there's a hill, a proverbial hill in between us and that thing that we're wanting, and we say, well, I guess it wasn't meant for me to have it. Them guys really could have got to wherever they got to, where they seen that they couldn't just easily get in there, and they could have just said, well, I guess it wasn't meant for our buddy to be healed. Or you could do like they did and do whatever it is that you're able to physically do. They no holds barred. There was nothing that was stopping them from getting to the master and receiving what it is that they knew that he had waiting for them. And so, when we think about the idea of us, walking this life in faith, we have to we have to walk out faith, which deals with perseverance. And it deals with its firmness and what it actually is. When you being able to go through a situation, whether it be comfortable or uncomfortable, and not deal with necessarily the situations that you got to go through in order to get there, but there actually being a destination and getting to the destination. Them guys didn't allow for the journey to define for them where they was actually going. They was going to meet the master. They didn't matter. They wasn't going to the front of this guy's house. They was going to inside this guy's house to the master's feet. So for them to get there and it to be full and them not to be readily able to get there, it didn't have nothing to do with them. The only thing that mattered to them was getting to Messiah. And so I'm saying that we have to actually live our lives just like this guy. Because the master has things that he has for us to be doing, and we can't allow for the crowds or the lines or the adversities to hinder us from doing what it is that we need to be out here doing for His kingdom. Okay. That being said, does anybody have any last questions, comments before we go ahead and be done? Okay. All right. So we will be done for now. Then say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Y'all willing, we'll be back on next Shabbat to continue looking at the words of the Master and the Torah. All right? Shabbat Shalom. The job is kind of crazy right now. It's like it's past due.
Oh, they get.
They passed deadlines, and it's like they're behind schedule. This place ain't done. It's crunch time. The inspector came and failed the electrical inspection because it wasn't done.